The Sixers season has not gone as planned so far. Our pretty much consensus top 2 team in the East currently sits at number 6, sole possession. The Sixers have faced their fair share of criticism, and deservedly so at this point in the season. Many of that criticism has landed on the lap of 2016 first-round overall pick, Ben Simmons. Tweets like this by legit NBA analysts, have many asking the question, has Ben Simmons really not improved at all since his rookie year? And the answer to that question is, fuck no! First off, that tweet by Kevin O'Connor doesn't even really make sense, because while Ben is noticeably tentative to shoot, MCW and Okafor are not. That's kind of the reason how we know why they suck. What I'm trying to do with this video is have people meet in the middle. People that say Ben Simmons doesn't need to improve at all, a slowly dying breed, and that Ben Simmons is not a good basketball player. I don't think there's a player that has drawn more unfair criticism in the NBA in the last 10 years purely for his on-court play than Ben Simmons, outside of maybe Toronto's own Kyle Lowry. The truth is that Ben does need to improve, of course, at levels higher than he is producing right now, but he has improved since his rookie year. The most open and shut case of this is his defensive performances. He currently averages 2.15 steals per game, which is an improvement from last year and good for first overall in the NBA by a decent margin. Simmons has really grown into the role of a confident defender who with his skill set, size, and speed can guard anyone from the 1 through the 5. It could be Ingram, Cat, Siakam, Luka, Harden, doesn't matter. Simmons can guard him. He has gradually gotten better year after year to the point of becoming a world-class defender. He is likely to make an all-defensive team this year, at least according to this expert, and is an outside chance to win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's not going to win it, but he'll get some consideration for it. These aren't awards and accolades that Ben was considered for in the past 2 seasons. While on offense, it is a lot more nuanced. Ben went from being just left off the All-Star team his rookie year to being a likely All-Star and named an All-Star his sophomore year, and then this year, he's looking like a consensus All-Star. His overall assists this year have been an improvement from last year and is good for 5th in the NBA, which is pretty remarkable considering the Sixers aren't shooting the basketball particularly well. Currently from 3, the Sixers are shooting 35.5%, which is good for 17th overall in the NBA, which is the bottom half. In last Monday's loss to the Pacers, Simmons had 16 potential assists, but only 3 actual assists. He is averaging 16.5 potential assists on the season. His teammates have let him down in several instances. Part of what can be a poor fit with Ben on offense at this point is at the fault, somewhat, of Sixers general manager Elton Brand. Choosing to sign a guy like Al Horford, a great player nonetheless, but as opposed to a stretch 4 guy or a pure shooter, clogs up space, and while he is a good shooter for a big man, he's not an outside shooter by any means, and his field goal percentage this year is at the lowest it's ever been. Tobias Harris and Josh Richardson, the 3 and the 2 respectively, both can be good shooters, but also can be very inconsistent. Both are very talented players, but neither by any means are lights-out shooters. And Joel Embiid, one of the best players in the game right now and a great shooter, again for a big man, can clash play styles with Simmons, obviously. In hindsight, this lineup, while a defensive monster, has struggled this year on the offensive end when it comes to shooting, and obviously when there are no lights-out shooters in the starting lineup, and arguably on the team, I'm sorry Furkan, the absence of JJ Redick, who no doubt has his flaws, or even a player of his caliber, is, let's just say, noticeable. We notice it. Also, the reluctance of Coach Brett Brown to use Ben efficiently, especially in pick-and-roll situations, has been a mistake at this time this year, but that's a whole nother video. And don't get me wrong, the offense has been good and at times great this year, but nowhere near it can be or should be at this point in the season. When it goes wrong on offense this year, they look slow, they look ineffective, they look cramped, and they look clueless. The Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ben Simmons comparisons are inevitable, and I hate to say it, but perhaps Giannis has laid a blueprint for Ben to follow. While shooting still an ineffective 32.5% from 3 this year, Giannis is averaging 2.3 more threes this year than he did last year, and in this regard is essentially being celebrated for being an ineffective 3-point shooter. Who is improving, by the way, but he's being celebrated because it opens up the floor for a Bucks, adds a new element, an element of uncertainty, unpredictability. And Giannis is obviously a great player, but this shows he could get better as he adds weapons to his arsenal. Unlike the prior 2 years, Ben has shot and made threes this year in 2 real games, while one was against the Knicks and 1 exhibition against the Guangzhou Long Lions. Represent? There are videos over and over of him being lights out shooting threes in warm-ups. Again, that's warm-ups, but still, it's something to look into. And here's the thing, if he adds an outside shot to his repertoire, he could become a much better outside shooter than Giannis, much faster. Ben's points per game this year have declined slightly, but that's because the Sixers now have more mouths to feed on offense. Entering the season last year, Robert Covington and Dario Saric were the third and fourth best players on offense, while now guys like Tobias, J-Rich, and Horford all need to get their share. The bottom line is there of course has been growth on offense. In the open floor, good luck, passing the basketball, free throw percentage ever so slightly, field goal percentage ever so slightly. But it hasn't been enough for fans that know how good Simmons could be if he had an outside shot. He is easily a top 20 to 25 player in the NBA, and right now continues to shine on a struggling Sixers team. Look for the Philadelphia 76ers to add some desperately needed three-point shooting in the coming months during the buyout and trade deadline season. Ben Simmons right now, surrounded by successful shooters, is the recipe for success. But even so, a jump shot, and I'm not expecting him to be Steph Curry or anything like that, but a jump shot will take him from a very good player to a great player, and his team from the second round to a title. Did that even answer the question I asked at the beginning of the video? Alright, Sophie, play us off.